Nighttime reading is especially valuable because they want to talk. What are they doing? They're procrastinating bedtime.
They want to go to bed.
They know what they're doing, but you know what they're doing and you're okay with it.
Yeah. Welcome home, everyone. We're so thrilled. I've actually been looking forward to this particular segment for months and months and months because I'm about to introduce you to one of the famous and most wonderful people of my whole family, Rebecca. Rebecca is the youngest daughter in our family. She's the youngest of 11. And from the time that she was just so little that she could just barely sit on our laps, we would read stories to Rebecca. And Rebecca has taken it one step further. I can tell you that Rebecca has done a little program on YouTube called The Cozy Chair, where she reads children's books. So I wanted her to talk to you today about how she decides on a book, the kinds of books she's enjoyed herself, what she's read to her children, because reading is just like food. It's magic.
So one of my favorite things that I did when my kids were little is we sat down at the beginning of the summer and I had them tell me all the things that they were interested in, whether it was spiders or rock climbing or making something, building something, going somewhere. Is it Asia? Is it Europe? It didn't matter. We just wrote all of the things down and we put every word in a jar. And then before we would go to the library, the kids would pull out of that jar a word and then we would go get lots of books about that. And they loved that.
Yeah, they did love it, but I have to tell you one other thing that Rebecca does, and we do not call it bribery. It is positive reinforcement or incentive. She would do something every year for them when they would read.
Yeah, and so I still do, even as teenagers. But I also really love including the neighborhood. So when they were young, I drew a picture of a root beer float. And I drew all these lines, so every 20 minutes they read or 10 minutes they could color it in. At the end of the summer, they brought the paper back to me and we had a big root beer float party as a neighborhood. And it was so fun. The kids were so excited.
Remember, we've talked about this before, that food is magic.
Yes.
If you want anything done, just to offer food. Okay, let's talk about how you choose, say, a picture book for a very young child.
A lot about color, a lot about illustration, and then a lot about text, the amount of text. If the child is young, I want to be able to flip the pages very quickly.
Because if you don't flip them, they will.
And they love to memorize. They love to hear it and read it along with you because hardly ever do you read a picture book one time to a child.
Oh, that is exactly true.
I would spend a lot of time at the library looking through books, picking books that have really good illustrations, picking books that had really good story or something that we could discuss together. There's so many great picture books. You can find great picture books at the library, at the bookstore, and just read them and read them and read them because they'll get better at listening and they'll have a longer attention span.
I actually think it's a great way of preparing them for school.
Yeah.
And for all that's coming.
I think so for sure.
What makes you buy a book instead of just going to the library? What decision do you go through in your mind?
So first of all, if we've read it multiple times together and I've had to pick it up at the library, it's time to buy the book. I really like buying them. Obviously, I have a collection of probably 500 or 600 children's books.
That's amazing.
And they know a lot of them because, like I said, we read over and over and over again and talk and laugh. And
this is a wonderful collection of books, but you can take your laundry basket to the library and check out numerous books and take them home. And that means that every week you've got at least one really good activity to have with your children, and you can fill your house up with stories, and forevermore you share those stories with the children. Here in the city of Orem, we didn't have a children's library. There was no heating in the basement. There were no bathrooms. There was no emergency exit. And that's where the children's books were kept. And so we decided to raise funds for a children's library.
I remember as a child hearing, the city needs a library. And so it was so exciting to see all of that work that you put in and all of those amazing women. So I went to the library as a child, but then I went even more as I got older, and as I took my kids, I would find out what the library programs were. I would try to take them once a week. And I think just the time spent together with my arms around them and holding the books and laughing is really priceless.
If you can close your eyes and think of what it was like to be little and to be cradled in your mother's arms and to hear the cadence of her voice, I don't know that it gets better than that.
So when my kids were little, just coming out of picture books, we started with this really fun one, Fantastic Mr. Fox, super funny. And the kids, it always got the kids laughing. So that one was great for my boys. And then Pippi Longstockings for my girls. She's just a crazy little girl and does crazy things, and the girls think she's pretty funny. This is Mrs. Pigglewiggle. And I picked this one instead of my nice copy because this is the one I read as a child. Then as they got a little older, I really loved, probably my favorite two are Holes. My boys loved Holes, and they get to see the movie after. I love to always put that as an incentive, and I love Tuck Everlasting. I remember reading this with my two girls and having a lot of great conversations about time and how valuable time is because it does run out.
I remember sitting on the bed of my son, Adam, and reading a book to him, and it was a book written about the difficulties with the South, and he was full of questions about why did this happen?
Yeah.
How could this have happened to people? And what was our country like at that time? It was huge.
Nighttime reading is especially valuable because they want to talk. What are they doing? They're procrastinating at time.
They want to go to bed.
They know what they're doing, but you know what they're doing and you're okay with it.
Yeah.
You know they're pushing it off. They're asking questions. You want to answer it. You want to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's great. I loved Esperanza Rising for my daughters and talking about people in our own family that have overcome hard things and the beauty that comes after things are really hard.
Now, I want to tell you that I've invited one more little guest. Come on in, Brooklyn. Brooklyn is Rebecca's daughter and my granddaughter. Okay, Brooklyn, what has been your favorite book to read with your mother?
I really, really like reading Harry Potter with her. It's really fun. And we've also read Miss Piggy Wiggle.
Yeah, that one was funny,
really
huh?
Fun.
What are some of your favorite characters from books?
I like Harry Potter. And then
What about your babysitter club? Do you talk about those girls sometimes?
Oh, yeah. I read a lot of graphic novels, and one of them is The Babysitter's Club. And I like reading about this girl named Christy because she likes sports, and I really like to play sports.
There are these incredibly rich and delicious moments when we sit down with our children on our laps or in our groups as families, and we read together. And we enjoy the stories over and over and over again. So please remember to read to your children. It's very important. And always remember that we're crazy about you. One of my favorite activities in the whole world is to sit quietly and knit while my husband reads to me. It's usually a really good mystery. So if there's someone out there that you know loves to read, or someone in their family who would love to be read to, please send this little piece to them and encourage them to read to each other.